Okay. Yeah, sure. Which camera am I looking at?
I was gonna say, are we rolling right now?
Oh yeah, we're going.
Oh,
Yeah,
So
so
you are.
perfect.
Oh, that's what the red light
it's
is.
kind of just conversational.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool.
Just, yeah, you can just
Man,
kind
you want
um,
to get to it? That'd be really cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Those batteries only
So I
last so
start-
long.
Cool. Yeah, my name's Nicholas Lambert, and I play drums for Eli Howard and the Greater Good.
My name's Eli Howard, and I'm Eli Howard's guitar player and vocalist in Eli Howard and the Greater Good.
And I'm Nick Elliott, and I play bass for Eli Howard and the Greater Good.
And we're Eli Howard and the Greater Good.
Yeah.
This is the.
We're the Greater Good.
This is the,
Eli Howard.
Yeah. This is the band that I was talking about earlier.
Fucking love it. So go. Kind of just tell me a little bit about your band, how you guys started, how you got here.
Perfect, yeah.
It's kind of a lot, but.
Well, it started with none of us.
Yeah, I've been working for Eli since the beginning. I feel like I've known him my whole life.
There was two Elis to start out, in fact.
So I was a lead guitar player in a band before I started this group, and me and the singer always had sort of a difference of opinions on how hard we should be working or how hard I wanted to work. Because I really like doing this. Like no one's making me do this. I get to do this. So when that band broke up, right, like, I mean, at the highest point of COVID era, I just decided, like, all right, like the only way that I'm going to be able to work in the capacity that I want to work at is if I just start my own group, which kind of was a difficult spot for me because being a lead guitar player, I just kind of sat back and let the lead singer write songs, and I just kind of filled my space when I needed to. But I was, if I want to be in charge of my own destiny, I had to take charge of my own destiny. So I just started writing songs and lyrics and everything, and then I just set a date for myself, like, this date in January, you're going to be in the studio working on your first record. And that's, I think nothing will ignite a fire in you like a deadline. So once I had that deadline staring me in the face, it became a lot easier to work because I had to put the work in order to be prepared for spending money by the day or by the hour working with a producer who's going to, you know, cut my next record with me. So, and then once I had a record, I had to have players, and Nick was actually a guy's fill-in. I was kind of in a custody battle with my original bass player, and he had a band that stayed busy and paid him really, really well. So he had his fill-in come play a gig, and Nick did such a wonderful job. I just said, "You're nobody's fill-in. You're my bass player."
That rodeo gig was the first show.
In Idaho, yeah, he drove all the way up to Idaho, and then
It was perfect because nobody listened to us.
yeah, I got asked if I would play some line dancing music, which I knew I was not amongst my people.
I feel it. Very nice. Was it your first rodeo?
It was not my first rodeo, but it was my first rodeo at that rodeo.
and our last. They didn't want us back the next
No.
year. I didn't play enough line dancing music, so.
Well, they put us on right after everything happened, and we were pretty much music for people to walk out to. Like,
Listen to this while you're leaving.
the bar that we went to afterwards had more people there than people
Yeah,
listening to us.
Pretty much. And then Nick started in like October. We had a really, really busy summer, and this Nick.
This is 3 cross-country tours.
Yeah, we stay extremely busy, and we're not home very much, and I was in need of a new drummer, and I kind of hired Nick sight unseen just off of word of mouth that he was a good drummer, and I've only talked to him on the phone a couple times, but we had like 3 or 4 days to rehearse, and then he went on a month-long run with us, and he came prepared, had a good attitude, and that speaks volumes to me. A good attitude is like number one. Like I will not saying Nick isn't a good player because he's a fantastic drummer, but I would take a lesser player over, you know, if they have a good attitude, which luckily I landed a drummer with both. Because extremely skilled, doesn't let his ego get in the way of his playing, fills the spot properly, and has an excellent attitude.
You end up spending a lot of time with these guys, and I mean, it's one thing to be in a bad mood, but it's one thing to just bleed onto others. And
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've been out for like 6 weeks now almost. And a bad attitude can really ruin that for everyone. Like it's already, the days off are honestly the worst. Like the music's the fun part. Like that's the reward of going to put up with all the bullshit that you do in the meantime. But like, it makes the downtime even worse when someone's like willingly alienating themselves or just going out of their way to make it uncomfortable for everyone. Like when they want to drag everyone down with them. And I've played with people like that and been in bands with like that. And then it just inherently ruins the fun part too, because you have to take that shit on stage with you and it's not fun. And it makes it not fun for me. And like, that's the only reason, like, I walked away from a really good paying job so I could do this. Like these guys give their time to me. Like they don't have to be here. I don't have to do this. And when the fun part isn't there, like it just completely just destroys like the whole reason we're out here away from our families and our parents and our dogs and stuff like that. It's like, oh, cool. Like we're out here doing this and we're miserable. And so good attitude goes a long way with me.
I know me and Bacon are kind of in the same, I call it my work life, because we've done fairs together for years at this point, and there's certain people that we both have refused to work with again at the company, but we know we're working together. We'll make it through. We'll make the best out of cover bands.
For sure.
I sometimes struggle with the cover band epidemic. It's really popular where we're from in Oregon, and I get why, like, people are out there having fun, and it's, you know, when it's like $6,000 to go see Aerosmith, why not go see some dudes that can nail it like dead on?
Yeah, then the audience expects that.
That's the same thing, is it's become so ubiquitous where we're from that it's in a sense poisoned the well for guys trying to do original music. Like
every show we play, we get requests for Freebird and fucking
or
Old
yeah,
Town
or
Road.
play the Eagles, or like, I mean, stuff that's not even in our wheelhouse. Like someone asked us to play a rap song. It's like, come on, man, read the room.
My favorite is play something I know.
Play, yeah. It's like if you shut up long enough, like, and listen to our songs, like they would be something, you know. And it's like people like comfortability, and I get that. Like as humans, I think it's just like, I think it's wired into our brains. Like we don't, you know, some people don't like to be stimulated in that way. And I still, like, I get it. Like when someone, like when I'm seeing a band, even if I do love their original music, like I pop when they like, I remember one time this dude Spike Hawkins was open for us in Idaho, and he busted out Purple Rain. He's this huge just mountain of a man with like this really long gray beard, rips on a harmonica, and he pulls out Purple Rain, and I was like, damn dude, that was cool. But
Love those stickers. You see them everywhere. Who the fuck is Spike Hawkins?
that, you know, I do appreciate people that are brave enough to write their own songs about, you know, about things that they went through. You all right, Nick?
Yeah.
You know, when people are brave enough to share their music, you know, and sometimes it's about things they didn't want to go through, and they're willing to drive through the night to play for nobody, like, it makes it extremely difficult when you go through all those steps and spend tens of thousands of dollars recording a record just for someone to say, like, you guys would be a lot better if you played some Zach Bryan covers. Like, you know, there was a time where no one knew who Zach Bryan was, too. And dude, some people in those tribute bands, though, like, you can tell they put their time into, like, because there's something about learning someone's, like, a couple months ago, I was trying to learn a couple of David Gilmour solos, and it's like, you have to set your habits aside to try to learn their habits. And I have a certain amount of respect for that. I really do. Like, I'm not saying these guys aren't musicians or anything like that, because there is something very impressive about putting all your tendencies aside and really getting into this other dude's headspace. And not, like, when you're a tribute band, like, you can't embellish it to your way of playing either. You got to kind of nail it as, you know, as it was on the record. And I do respect that, but I wish that it was like, you know, it's kind of spilled over into what we're doing, where, you know, people don't necessarily want to hear what your habits are.
Or when a really original band plays, like, predominantly covers, you're like, what are you doing? But at the same time, like, crowd is super into it for some reason because they know the songs. But
yeah, we played, it was in Lake Oswego, Oregon, which is like a pretty well-off area of where we're from.
Yeah.
And this total, like, dad rock band, like, they did, like, Duran Duran covers. and like they were a good band. Like, don't get me wrong, like they had a ripping keyboard player, and then we got started, and people just filed out of there like it was a fire drill. Like they just like oh, like we're only getting one cover band tonight. Like it was an odd pairing, I guess, to begin with, but they wanted to play with us, and just we cleared that room, which I don't know, whatever. I still don't want to compromise on what I'm doing. You know, it's if people don't like me for what I'm doing, they're not the people I want there anyways. Is the way I see it. You know, I don't. That's an area I don't want to compromise on. Like I don't want to have to bend that way in order to get people to like me. I would rather the right people come my way by liking my music.
Another one that kills it is those late night DJs. You get people sitting in the back just waiting for them to come on.
They know fake ID is gonna get played, or you know, Cupid Shuffle or something like that. And, you know, whatever. I mean, people are happy to hear it, and it brings people together. So I can't knock on it too hard. But
Yeah, I mean,
it's just it's
Cotton
not.
Eye Joe though.
Yeah,
It just slaps, dude.
yeah, dude. It's
Or that song, two to the left.
yeah.
Oh,
Take it
yeah.
back now, you know.
Dude, come on. I'm the one in the back waiting for the DJ. Fuck, dude. I feel attacked.
So then, what are some of the musical influences that got you guys interested in music and playing it, and then kind of what influenced the band?
You want to go ahead first? Man?
Whoa. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I just love music. I started like in my life skateboarding and, you know, just kind of like learning how to fail, you know, and so I think that translated into music when I was like 11 or 12 or something. And then, yeah, I just, I don't want to get too deep or take too much time, but I ended up really liking the drums a lot in music. And, yeah, like some of the earliest stuff that I remember is, Collective Soul, you know, AC/DC, Rush, you know, and like these my dad was into rock and roll, so like I listened to that growing up, right? Eagles was a huge influence for me. Don Henley, the fact that he's like singing and playing as well as he is and writing as good of parts, and you know, it just really moved me. So I don't know, I kind of like went towards the drums, and I started actually beatboxing, like vocal percussion. That was my first endeavor. But what was awesome was that doing those beats with my mouth helped me embody rhythms and understand timing and rhythms more than I probably would have if I didn't, right? So that was cool, and it translated over, and I really liked metal music and punk and ska and reggae, and that was kind of my starting points. And then it just got to a point where I took it a lot more seriously and wanted to do it, you know, and get paid doing it. So I worked toward that. And then went to school in Santa Barbara at the junior college for music. And that's where I learned music theory, fundamentals, musicianship, music technology, and, you know, things like that. So I started to get deeper into like production and learning about those things. And I was like, wow, the whole song to me is like really important. So but then it just kind of like, you know, I put so much time into drumming that production and working, you know, playing other harmonic instruments with people wasn't like what I was getting called for, you know. So the drums almost like followed me around now. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm playing the drums now. And I love it. I do. I really, really do. But I am thinking like about the whole scope while I'm playing, and people like Quincy Jones, Rick Rubin, who doesn't play any instruments, by the way, right? And has produced some of the best records we've heard, and they still play it today. So we're like jamming out hardcore to Red Hot Chili Peppers just like once you go down that rabbit hole, I feel like I don't come out for a while. So, but like those people kind of encompassing all of the music, you know, it just inspired me so much. So that's kind of like where I am mentally. I don't fancy myself as a drummer per se anymore, but hopefully just a better musician. And yeah, so that's, wow, that sounded really dumb.
That was awesome.
All of it.
I guess for me, it started with, I don't know how familiar you are with the Northwest or anything, but they, I think I must have been like 10 or 11 years old, and they built this, Paul Allen, who owned part of the Trailblazers. I think he got started in Microsoft even. he built this big museum, and it started as just like a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, who's from Seattle, but then it kind of just encompassed all sorts of, it was just a big music museum. And my aunt, who lived in Seattle, I just happened to be visiting her the week that place opened. It was like the second or third day that museum was open. My aunt took me there, and I remember there was this big screen as you walked in, like theater-sized screen, and it was Jimi Hendrix playing the national anthem at Woodstock, and it was like, hell yeah, like that looks so cool. Like, and the other thing, like even before that like really bit me was like, and I know like I get so much crap for this, is when Marty McFly like saved the day by playing Johnny Be Good in Back to the Future. It was like this dude that just like seems so uncool, and he's getting beat up by Biff and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden he saved his whole family tree. Like he looks at the photograph and they come back in. Like to me that just seems so cool. Like he brought all these people together with his guitar. And so I was super, like I was always interested in them, but like I come from a very odd family where like no one listens to music or plays an instrument. Like the only time my mother listened to music was in the car. We didn't like, I didn't realize families like would just put music on in the house, like while they cleaned or, you know, like while they made dinner. Like we never did that. And my mom strictly listened to FM radio in the car, nowhere else. And my dad has listened to talk radio since he was 12 years old. He doesn't know anything about music. He's come out to see me play once or twice in my life. And so I didn't come from a very musical family, but I did get a guitar when I was 12 years old. And I was kind of just at the mercy of whoever was feeding me music at the time. But luckily, my dad's best friend is this awesome folk singer. He's the one that really like got me started into guitar and other music. And he fed me like John Prine and the Allman Brothers and Neil Young, and he encouraged me to sing, and he was always like trying to show me different types of music. And this dude's 7 years old and he's still finding new music like and sending it my way. And every album I do, I put one of his songs on it, because this guy, he's just this awesome songwriter. He probably could have been Neil Young or John Prine, but instead he just decided to have kids and be a farmer, because that's what his dad did. And so I told him, if you're not going to get rich off your songs, then I will. And so, but he always, like when I was in my early 20s, when the weather got good, because we're so limited on good weather in Oregon, he would have on his porch, he would pull out all his records, and we would just sit and drink beer till there was no more beer left. And he showed me albums like Frampton Comes Alive. You know, he had every record, it seemed like, and he had stuff that like you weren't gonna hear on like classic rock radio either, you know. And one of my favorite ones was Alex Taylor. It's James Taylor's brother, and he said this is his younger, more talented brother. And it ended up being one of like my favorite records ever. Like he came over one night and it's still in my house, and he would show me like this live album from the band Poco, where I don't know if you've heard of them, but their bass player was Timothy B. Schmidt, who went on to replace Randy Meisner in the Eagles. And he would show me like the stuff that did get played on classic rock radio, but he also showed me these deep cuts of other bands, and he definitely evolved my taste in music and to never rule much out. Like he was a folk singer, but he showed me rock and roll, he showed me blues, southern rock, and because of that, I don't really rule anything out, and I don't consider us one genre or another, because I'm not afraid to let my influences show. Like when I write music, I don't worry about, is it too much of this or not enough of that, because I like so much that I just feel like I don't have to choose, and I don't. So it's and he showed me so many bands. Like I noticed like a lot of folk singers aren't very proficient guitar players most of the time, but like he showed me guys like John Prine, who wrote great songs, good lyrics, but he also showed me guys like Johnny Winter, who played awesome guitar. So I got like a little bit of everything from him, and it definitely manifested in how I approach music and how I write it. And like I want to hit, like when I write songs now, like I keep my band in mind. Like if I have a rad drummer that can fill odd spots or something like that, like I keep that in mind when I'm writing music, or how I want to arrange it. Because like I want to utilize all these tools that I was given.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, my name's Nick, and
we covered that.
I'm here because of AA. No, I really started music in middle school, and I started playing trombone because that was what the school had available for me. We didn't have too much money, and I wanted to play saxophone. And I was like, hey, you guys got any extra saxophones? They're like, we got like 13 sax players, bud. And I was like, oh, dang. Well, trumpet sounds cool, too. And they're like, too many of those. We got a trombone for you. And I was like, cool. And I started playing trombone and stuck with it for the whole middle school, high school career. It was a lot of fun. I never had a bad time. Played in the jazz band. I was taking like 3 band classes a day for a while just because that's what I really liked to do. During lunches, I'd go hang out in the band room, and whether we were playing or not, they were like just my best friends in there. And kind of transferred to bass because one of my really good friends, Ryan, just hung out all the time and watched him play bass for a lot of bands and went to a lot of his shows and stuff, and just always looked fun. And then I got asked to play in this band, and after learning the bass I started playing stand-up in high school and playing instruments for people. I played guitar, bass, trombone, didgeridoo. At the talent show, I was booked out. Everybody asked me to play something.
You were the house band.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Where's Nick?
I like that.
Yeah. It was awesome. I sang in the choir for a while. And then once I got out of high school, I was playing in an original band called American Barricade, and I was playing in a metal band called Evidence of Insanity. And in high school, I joined a metal band called War Crank, and that was a very intricate band. We had a whiteboard with 20 different riffs on it for one song. Started naming it like left shoe, right shoe, fucking, this is now the pants section. It got intense. But just jumped my way around, played in some church bands, and filled in for Ryan with his other band called the Boondock Boys, and found my way here. I don't see me looking back on it. Only had fun with it. Super fun with music.
That's why I do it, is because it's fun.
Yes. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't be here, you know?
That's
100%.
You know, like, I would love to be making more money at this, but like, I think the people that get so hung up on money get burned out before the money ever shows up. You know, like, I've met a lot of musicians that have been in this for a long time, and like, they almost have the attitude like, I'm not even pulling my guitar out of its case unless there's dollar signs involved. And it really sours me on that. Like, and it's a good example for me, like, never get that way. Like, they don't even want to talk about music with you. Like, it's strictly business for them. It's, you know, like, it's like going and working at a factory for them. It's like, and I feel sorry for those people because it's such a, like, I've wanted to do this forever. Like, as long as I can remember. As soon as I saw Marty McFly playing Johnny Be Good, I thought, man, that would be really cool to go out and do that all the time. And you can bring joy to people, and like, someone who's having a bad day can go forget about that bad day. And people get so hung up on money that it just, I genuinely hope, like, if I'm having this conversation with you 5 years from now, my attitude hasn't changed. Like, money's cool, and I want to make more of it. Like, but to me, all money does is just, like, you know, it would be good for me to let me work harder.
Yeah.
And that's real. Like, that's what's holding me back from doing more things, is not having more money. But to me, it's just, it's paper.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
I think too, though, like, there's artists that, you know, even like Jack White, you know, we were listening to a lot of his catalog, and you know, he talks about how hard it is to, you know, like, once you're comfortable in life, like, what's driving you, you know. And another artist, J. Cole, who's a awesome rapper, he says the same thing. He's like, man, sometimes I really just wish I was broke again, because, you know, that's when you're hungry and you want to, like, it's like, what else are you gonna do, you know? Well, focus on your art, and if you have a lot of money and freedom and comfort, you know, it's like, you made it. So it's probably really challenging to get back to that initial state of mind where you know, were hungry and ambitious.
That boxer, I think it was Ernie Shaver, said it. It's hard to get out of bed and want to train when you're laying in satin sheets.
On the other hand of it, though, it is really cool that we can go home and pay our rent and our primary bills. And I mean, I haven't I move hot tubs when I'm home, and I haven't done that in a month and a half. I'm going home with money in my pocket.
Yeah,
it's a pretty cool feeling, you know.
I think that's the thing
definitely,
for me is like where I would feel accomplished as far as like money goes in music. It's providing a good living for the people around me. Like me personally, like playing music moves me. Moving people with my music is what moves me. But me personally with money, like it's there and it's gone. You know, you keep your light bill on. It lets you live in this, you know, a couple wall, you know, around 4 walls and have a roof over your head. But like, I don't let that be the breaking point for me as far as music. Like me at 12 years old when I got my first guitar, it's because that guitar that I got for Christmas brought me joy. It wasn't, I can make so much money with this. It was, this makes me happy. And it still does. Like, I'm so lucky. Like, I got all these really cool guitars and all this cool gear, and I get to go use it. I get to go play in front of people, and I get to talk about gear with other people like me. And that's what moves me. And like, when there's more money to be had, I want that to trickle down to these guys. Like, to me, it doesn't, you know, like I go play solo shows because a lot of times, you know, by the time I have paid my band, there isn't any left for me. And that's not what, it doesn't discourage me though. Like, I'm happy to be here. I get to go see so much of this country that we live in. Like, it's been so eye-opening in the last year plus or 2 years that like, I'm going places for work that people are taking time off of work to go see. You know, like a couple months ago, I was walking down Bourbon Street because we had a day off.
And in that same week, we were in San Francisco.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, we were down in the Bay. I was standing beside a cactus in Arizona last week.
Well,
You know,
we went to a castle like 2
Yeah, we
weeks
went
ago.
to a castle in Pueblo, Colorado. You know, I get to see all this.
Canadian border back in Texas.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's, you know, like we get to
1,200 miles in a
we get to
day.
experience so much of this country, like with all the different cultures, and you get to see all these different landscapes and try all this different food. And it's like we're all in this one confined space that spans a couple thousand miles, but as you just go more one way or the other, you experience so much different culture.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, I can't put a price
It's
tag on
invaluable.
that.
It's invaluable for sure. Yeah.
And so many people, like, there's people that are in their 40s that, like, they haven't left their county that they live in. And I was just talking about this the other day. Someone knew us at our show that we played in Yuma, Arizona. And he said, I think the last time your dad left the state of Oregon was in like 1994. My dad just, like, he never leaves home, and he's happy doing that. Like, I don't think he likes to work, and he loves to just go home after work. But like, since I've been to more of the states than I haven't at this point because of my, quote unquote job. And like, I can't put a price on that. So I feel so fortunate to get to do this. Like, I really feel like I'm working my dream job, and like the reward is going and playing. Like, the hard part is the dealing with venues and trying to just find yourself work. Like, that's the part that discourages me. But like, getting to go do this, standing on stage and just making noise, that's the payoff.
I remember my favorite quote someone told me is, I get paid to load in and load out, but the playing's definitely for free.
Yeah.
The hard work is like all the time in between loading and
Yeah, or there's long drives that we have to
Work.
do. Like, sometimes you gotta hustle to get somewhere, and there's lack of sleep. But usually, like, almost always, it falls by the wayside once you're on stage. Like, you pull it together, and I'm genuinely happy to be there, unless the crowd is absolutely just bogus to us one night. But luckily, this trip has been pretty drama-free as far as that goes. Like, we've been out since, February 2nd today? We've been out since December 28th.
27.
4 days left, baby.
Yeah, and then we're home.
Yeah.
Typically at this part of the run, we're like, oh man, fuck you guys. I'm going
Yeah,
back.
Really?
that's
Yeah.
the big
Less
thing for me
space.
is like the turnaround. What I've noticed in like past trips where, like, I've done coast to coast trips several times now, and the turnaround is like when the van is pointed towards the direction of home, everyone mentally checks out. And there hasn't so much been that. Like, we're still laughing, we're still having fun. Like, where it really came to fruition for me was we had a long, like, we were damn near at the Canadian border in Minnesota. We had 1 day to get to Fort Worth, Texas, and I had a solo show that night. We rolled into Fort Worth, Texas at 9 a.m. and I unhooked from the trailer, just figuring, you know, they were just gonna sleep. And I said, all right, guys, like, I'll see you guys when I get back. Everyone in the band and our TM, David, got in and watched me play these songs that they've been listening to, that they've been playing with me for the last month.
Made sure to boo extra loud for him.
Yeah, it's like
almost killed myself in the parking lot.
that meant a lot to me. Like,
it's unrelated to the music.
Like, to me, that was just like, that was beyond like the music. Like, that was just enjoying each other's company. Like, they all sat at a table together, ordered food together, and watched me play. They didn't have to do that. They wanted to hang out. And
my technique is I just start getting up later and later each day. It minimizes the hours, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's tired." I'm thinking like, "No, I just really hate these guys." You know? I'm totally joking.
David, our babysitter tour manager's technique is 5-6 naps a day.
yeah,
Yeah.
David lived 3 days in 1 day yesterday. Like,
He kept coming out as a different version of himself.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
yeah, he reinvented
Wake
himself.
up, get his drilling bit stoned, sleep
Go back
a
to
couple
sleep.
hours, rinse, wash, repeat 2 more times throughout the night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
David was.
What did you have for breakfast today?
That's a honey bun.
And alcoholic
nice.
seltzer.
And a lot of the green bud.
Yeah, David never gets to let loose. So we've been here at Burgie's for like the last 2 or 3 days since Monday, I guess, since Monday night. And it's always funny to me when like I know it's gonna go down, like, because I don't drink. So sometimes at the end of the night, like when the job is done, it's like you can tell David's about to fucking turn one on, and he
Yeah,
turns
he's
his
about to
hat
turn
around
up.
backwards and he starts beating everyone's ass in pool. He's like, Eli, he'll tell me, he's like, you guys aren't my responsibility tonight. He's like, you're in charge, Eli.
Yeah,
It's like, fair enough. Take a night off, David.
This one's from a boy.
it gets fun. I'm still young, so I mean the bar scene is still quite new to me compared to y'all old guys.
Yeah.
But no, I have a good time. 22 years old. It's all downhill from here.
We've seen a lot of nightlife. Like, we've become like master of barroom games. Like, it's like
man.
we're always looking for the perfect game of darts now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
many bars, so
In
many gas
pool,
stations.
we played like
Bowling.
there's a pool table here. Yeah, bowling. I have no friends on the lanes. When I'm out there, I'm like Dale Senior, dude. Like, I got no friends out on the lanes.
And
At the pool table, you're a sandbag and sack of shit.
They've been playing
I haven't
pool.
played in years. I'm terrible. Goes and runs the table.
Yeah, they've been playing pool all this whole trip, and I've just been sitting back and watching. Finally, someone wrote me into playing a game, and I sharked them all.
unbelievable. Where were
I
you
guess
for
I
that
wasn't.
money game in Kansas?
Guess I wasn't invited to that game. I don't know.
We had briefly mentioned Burgie's. Could we just talk about Burgie's for a second?
Absolutely,
This
man.
cool fucking venue that he's
We
at
wanna
with
keep it
Steve's
on the
for
down.
party and filming and stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to inflate
It
Steve's head too
sucks.
much.
No, it sucks here, and nobody should come here. No, I'm joking.
But, you know, like, there's a lot of, like I was saying, like, the music part is like the huge payoff. But like every time we come here, like, or at least the last couple of times, we've spent a couple days here just because of routing. And Steve showed us around the town of Arbuckle and like showed us where he used to cause trouble and stuff like that. And like, to me, this is one of my favorite venues in the country, and I've seen a lot of them. And like, I can't wait to see more. But like, this place is so unique. Where like,
tri-tip on the smoker for us.
yeah, dude, like he cooks us dinner and stuff like that, and like there's just a really cool sleeping arrangement here, and like every time we come here, like when there is days off, like he lets us set up our stuff on stage, and we're hammering out new ideas. Like we wrote and recorded a new song on this run, and the band still hasn't done a full band arrangement for it, so we can hammer out stuff like that. Like we can work
Recorded
while we're
bass
here
lines
too. Yeah,
yesterday.
we're working on a short EP of songs, and like we had the space to record bass on 2 songs remotely, which just a lot of places don't offer that. Like this place is very special and unique, and I always look forward to days like when this venue shows up on the calendar.
Hey, we showed up 3 days early, and 4 days early, and Mike, the sound guy, came in and helped us set up. So
Yeah, he
helped
set up
us
our in-ears for us and
reroute our whole freaking stage box and helped us figure our stuff out pretty much.
yeah, stuff we've been fighting on this run too. It's like he did an update on our soundboard for us, and
Yeah, firmware that we didn't realize even was needed to be updated.
So we're super fortunate to just be connected to these people because they treat us so well. And I don't know if they're this nice to all the acts that come in here or if they just have a special liking to us, but I'll take it any way I can get it. This place, like,
Very special.
yeah, I
Very,
hate
very
leaving
special.
here. So this is a really cool way to just cap off. We have tomorrow night's show here at Burgie's, and then we got one show in Oregon, and we're home.
Yeah.
And so
we're not even sleeping there. We're going home.
yeah. And so, but like before we got to Arbuckle, it was in 11 days we did 10 shows, and there was always a pretty lengthy amount of driving in between those shows. So I've completely unwound from that. I was pretty heavily wrapped up, and I've been, we've been playing pool, working on new music.
Mostly playing pool.
Yeah, mostly playing pool. Very little work.
Yeah.
And we Steve took us out to like the Elks yesterday.
Oh yeah, homemade
Ate
sausage.
I showed up in sweats.
Good call. Yeah, we made fun of him all night.
Eli Howard in the bedtime stories.
Uncle Howie and the Z's.
Grandpa Howie was out past his bedtime.
Yeah, dude, I knew I'd messed up.
Sweatpants, pink hoodie, and a beanie.
Yeah,
he shows
dude.
up to a sausage fest in gray sweatpants.
Wrong
like,
sausage fest.
Yeah.
Yeah. He got a
Everyone's got
different
like
memo
those
than we did.
Carhartt vests on and
like
like
jeans.
Looks like an NRA
boots.
meeting.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
it was like
Just
almost black tie,
like I think they let me in because they felt sorry for me.
Yeah,
Like, I let the poor guy eat.
Yeah, they're like, let the poor
Let
guy
the
in.
homeless guy eat.
I'm like,
Yeah.
he's sick.
Yeah, can't you tell, man? Just let him in, for God's sake.
Oh yeah.
Could you guys tell us just a few words about the couple songs you're gonna be playing for us?
What songs are we
What
playing?
song are we
Yeah.
playing? Yeah, I haven't really made up my
Roll
mind on
back
what we're gonna
down,
like. We want to.
Bob Seger, Turn the Page, I think was the other one.
We have this. I have this horrible habit where I never write set lists ever. I always tell them I'm the set list. So back in April, we used to use set lists. Back in April, we were on our first. He was on his first tour. Poor Nick, 22 years old,
I was 21 at the time.
and we took him out for a month or 5 weeks. And we get like 2 weeks into the tour, and our van and trailer and all of our gear gets stolen.
I packed so well. I was like,
Yeah.
first tour, all my favorite stuff.
All my
favorite
bring all my
shirts.
discs for disc golf, all our nicest dress shirts. Like I had a really, really nice Telecaster I'll never see again. And but on the dash of the van I printed up like 50 set lists. Like, cool, if anyone needs them, like we can sign them when we're done. We got 50 of them. We're good. Well, set list got stolen. I was just like, well guys, from now on, I'm the set list. And we've never used them since because we got, because they got stolen. And so I honestly haven't decided what songs we're gonna play yet because I never write out a set list.
Definitely stay in my lane.
Yeah, we'll probably play "Stay in My Lane" for sure. And I wrote that on the way to Burgie's actually.
Yeah, it's the Burgie's vibe.
Yeah, because they have "Keep on Truckin'" is their motto, and it was on that tour where we got all our shit stolen. It was night one of that tour was here at Burgie's, and I was driving down I-5. I got the night shift for driving, and I was just like, nothing motivates me to write songs like being behind the wheel. Like the last 3 songs that I've written have been behind the wheel of our van. And I was thinking about that, like the "Keep on Truckin'." So I used that line in there, and I was driving, so that's what I came up with "Stay in My Lane," which the song's just kind of about minding my own business, which I wish more people did. Social media makes it really easy for people to have like this moral scaffolding, like I think differently than you, therefore I'm a better person than you, and
At least smart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for a minimum.